Good morning. Good morning. This is Valerie Leonard. I am the founder of Nonprofit Utopia. I want to say welcome and thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to talk about how you can develop and implement a Giving Tuesday campaign. And as you know, Giving Tuesday is the first Tuesday after Black Friday. And this year that will be on December 1st. All right, so I'm going to share my screen and then go over the presentation with you. All right, and if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to share them in the chat box, and I will make sure that I get back to you, once this is over. All right, and when I say once this is over, I'm talking about once the presentation is over. Okay, and then we can talk about it. So again, please feel free to post. This is an interactive presentation. Alrighty, so again, I want to welcome you. As you may or may not know if you've been following us, this is fundraising month in the nonprofit Utopia community. We talked about how you can develop a case for support and do a fundraising plan. And today we're going to talk about how you can develop and implement your Giving Tuesday campaign. All right, and the materials that I'm using are from givingtuesday.org. All right, and before we do that, I want to share a little bit of information about Nonprofit Utopia. As you know, we're the ideal community for emerging nonprofit leaders, and we have created a safe environment in which our members can innovate, right? And we provide ongoing professional development. And one of the ways that we do that is through events, both online and in person. And in the era of COVID-19, we're not able to do the in-person events, but we have developed significant content for you to share. So that's courses, that's webinars, that's live streams, and then we also have Blog Talk Radio that you can listen to. All right. And our mission is to develop the next generation of ethical leaders. And we do that through ongoing professional development. And our vision is to strengthen the global nonprofit sector by training and developing them. But want to do 50,000 trainings or train 50,000 people. So that would actually be more than 50,000 trainings between now and 2033. And if you want to find out more about us, you can go to nonprofitutopia.com and nonprofitutopia.mn.co. I want you to also keep your ear to the ground. We're going to be rolling out Nonprofit Utopia Academy next month. And by the end of the year, we will be offering coaching as well as courses on things like how do you start your nonprofit organization, how you do fundraising, and all that good stuff. And a little bit about me. I am a consultant. I've been consulting since 2003, helping organizations to solve some of their deepest problems. And I started Nonprofit Utopia 2 years ago. Basically wanted to pull everything together that I do all under one umbrella. So there's coaching, there's consulting, there's an online community as well. All right, and I also teach online courses at UIC, and those courses are in nonprofit management, most recently teaching a course in operations. I'm also on staff at Roosevelt Heller College of Business, and I teach courses in social enterprise. So what exactly is Giving Tuesday? Some of you may be aware of it, and there are still people who are not quite aware of Giving Tuesday. Giving Tuesday is a global movement, and it's basically meant to be a day of feeling good and goodwill around the world. It takes place on the first Tuesday after Black Friday. So you've got Black Friday, you've got Cyber Monday, And then you have Giving Tuesday. And this movement was founded by 90, 92nd Street Y and United Nations Foundation in New York back in 2012. And it has become an international movement. So almost every country in the world, there are NGOs and government entities that are doing something with Giving Tuesday. And as I indicated before, it's the first Tuesday after Black Friday. This year, it's going to be December 1st. And this is something that we all can participate in. We can donate to our favorite organizations. If we are business owners, we can partner with nonprofits and help them raise money. If we are leading a nonprofit organization, we can develop a campaign. So we're here to tell you basically what you should be doing between now and Giving Tuesday and a little bit beyond. All right, so starting this week, you should make sure that you're signed up and registered with Giving Tuesday. So you can go to givingtuesday.org/join and register your organization. And once you register, you'll be on their mailing list. You'll be getting updates as to what you can be doing between now and then and forevermore, quite frankly. And if your state or city or local Giving Tuesday activities, you might want to plug into those. And then you also want to go to givingtuesday.org to download all the resources for nonprofits. And if you're a business owner, there's also resources and articles for you as well. All righty. So this is not a strike through. I actually have text over part of a line. So the first thing you want to do is set a goal, and then you also want to consider your target, right? And then you'll probably have multiple targets if you're like the average organization, because one target could be your board members, another target could be funders, another target could be individuals, another target could be people in your community. So one of the first things you want to do is set goals and figure out how you're going to reach those various targets. So one goal might be, recruiting more volunteers. Another goal might be to get more social media followers. Obviously, the first goal is to get more money, right? And you want to coordinate those activities with your annual giving and make sure that what you're doing on Giving Tuesday actually complements your fundraising and not detracts from it. So whatever your initiative is, you set your goals and then you give all your stakeholders who are going to be participating. So that could be staff, community, it could be board, and even sometimes your funders may work with you or your local businesses. So you want to make sure that everybody who's engaged has some goal or some activity that they can link to helping you achieve those goals and objectives. You also want to email your supporters to share what your organization is doing as it relates to Giving Tuesday. And you have to also strike a delicate balance. You want to make sure you inform people relatively often, but you don't want to inform them so often that they actually tell you to stop emailing them. All right, so I would recommend no more than once a week. All right, so the week of November 9th, you're going to announce. So you're going to share your plan and goal in a press release or a virtual community launch party. And then you're going to start spreading the word. And you're not going to just spread the word, but you're going to also work with others and help, and encourage them to help you spread the word. This is a very, very social promotion, and most of the promotion is done online. All right, especially now in the age of COVID-19, but it was originally designed to be more or less an online promotion. And then you want to keep going until you build momentum, and you want to schedule regular social media messages to talk about your organization's work and how your community can best support your mission. And at this point, you might want to get people to develop videos and talk about their wonderful experiences You might want to give people, a virtual walkthrough of the organization, share stories, success stories with some human interest, but also make sure that those success stories are backed up by data. So you want to be able to show your vision. You want to give an aspirational message. You want to show people that this is a good investment. You want to show achievement. All right. So you also might want to consider doing a match, right? A matching gift, so you could work with a foundation, work with a business or other people or other organizations to see if for every dollar they will match you dollar for dollar, two for one, etc. And then you also want to email your supporters again to remind them that Giving Tuesday is coming. So again, you want to intertwine these messages consistently between now and December 1st. And then also the week of the 9th, you want to make sure you pitch your local press. So there is a sample in their workbook, a sample press release that you can just fill in the blanks. And if you're a nonprofit Utopia member, I'll make sure that you have that workbook in the community. And then you also want to email a calendar invite to people and let them know December 1st is Giving Tuesday. So that's a hard reminder that they should be thinking about you and giving. And you should also know, and you probably also know, that, this time is very, very crowded. Everybody around the world is competing, right? So you have to really think of ways to make your messages stand out. And this is really, really where relationships come into play. All right. So the week of November 23rd, so that's Thanksgiving weekend. Sorry, the week of Thanksgiving, you want to go big on social media and you want to make sure that you're top of mind. So you want to do tweets, and you should always be tweeting, but you're going to intensify your tweets this week. You're going to intensify the number of posts. You'll be looking at doing videos on TikTok, any way that you can to, keep the momentum going. And if you can use the hashtags Giving Tuesday, and then even hashtags for your own sub campaign, so if you're doing individual branding, whatever your personal or your organization's hashtag is, it's important to use that. All right. So on November 30th, you need to send a 1 day to go email and social media messages. Make sure that your board, staff, your community, and not just your community, your physical community, but also your online community. Whatever social media you use, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, make sure that, folks are aware. So on December 1st, you're going to use that like a marathon. You remember how Jerry, oh my goodness, I can't think of his name. Jerry Lewis. Jerry Lewis used to do the full day marathon, 24-hour marathon for kids with muscular dystrophy. Think of that kind of a telethon. So you want to go live, you want to share a photo every hour and remind people that you're collecting for a wonderful cause. So you want to share your TikTok challenge. You want to highlight the stories of all of your successes. You want to highlight stories of your board members and get them to talking to encourage people to give. You want to share stories of success stories with your clients. Have your clients get on and talk about the changes that have occurred in their lives as a result of being in your programs. So everybody that your organization touches and has a positive relationship with, you want to make sure that you get them engaged, and particularly on that day, so you can create even more momentum. So after Giving Tuesday, which will be December 2nd, so that's Thank You Wednesday. You want to email the Giving Tuesday team at info@givingtuesday.org. Share your success stories, share your pictures, any announcements that have occurred. And that puts you, I guess, on a worldwide stage where people can see your story and your success alongside other people's success from around the world. And then you want to use the momentum from Giving Tuesday to boost your own winter fundraising and rally support for your mission. And this is one thing we really, really got to be careful of. Before you even start your Giving Tuesday fundraising in earnest, make sure that you're in compliance. Make sure that you filed your most recent 990 and your AG 990. I can't tell you how many horror stories I've heard where foundations or governments would have a windfall and they'll contact an organization and they can't give the gift because the organization hasn't filed all their paperwork. So make sure that you've completed all of your filings. All right, so at this point, I'm going to share some sample social media messages. And this again comes straight from the Giving Tuesday Complete Nonprofit Toolkit. So these are just 3 examples, but they have many more in their toolkit. So one example on social media, so this could be Twitter, and you can make sure you have a picture with it. Mark your calendar. December 1st is Giving Tuesday. How will you give? Another message is save the date. Giving Tuesday is December 1st. We're proud to be a part of this global celebration of giving. And again, you want to share a picture or some visual that really drives the point home. And then the third one, giving back isn't canceled. Ahead of Giving Tuesday, we're sharing ways you can express generosity right from your own home. And at this point, you want to insert ideas for how folks can get involved in your mission or help to move the needle on your cause right from their own home. So you want to make it easy, make it convenient. And then make sure that you check out the Giving Tuesday Complete Toolkit for nonprofits. They've got sample media messages, they got sample press releases, and a suggested calendar. I also suggest that you go to givingtuesday.org. They have so many more resources that you can use, resources for individuals, resources for businesses, resources for nonprofits. Again, this is a worldwide movement and it's a lot of fun, lots of fun. All right. So now we're going to talk about how you can develop and implement your own Giving Tuesday campaign. And the first thing you want to do is start with the goal. And ideally, you would have several goals. All right. So obviously, the first goal is to raise money. So you want to set a fundraising target in terms of dollars. Another goal might be to engage younger professionals. Right. So as we may or may not be aware, the millennials are now the largest segment in the workforce. So you really want to figure out some way that you can target millennials. And that's not to say that you're not going to target others either. You need to segment your messages so that you communicate to young donors in one way and you communicate the same message, but maybe use a different language with older donors, or even you have to make sure that you match your social media with the target, right? So certain people, younger donors are more likely to be on TikTok and Instagram. Your older donors are more likely to be on Facebook and LinkedIn, even though LinkedIn has people from all age ranges. You might want to have a goal of X number of participants, Y number of volunteers, Z number of donors, the number of monthly donors, the number of collaborations that you start. And collaborations is really critical because if you use Giving Tuesday as a starting point, those collaborations can go on, for other initiatives and programs that you might have. So it's a really good way to increase your capacity. Another goal might be activity attendance, Another goal might be the number of new donors you can attract, the number of event attendees, the number of social followers, and then the number of thank yous. And remember, for everybody who participates, whether it's volunteering, whether it's giving money, whether it's staff who put in, a yeoman's job to pull this off, everybody who has touched this event or this campaign in any way, make sure that you say thank you. It's not just to people who give money. So here is a segment from the workbook, and this is a good way to flesh out some of the ideas that you might have. Identify what your goals are, how many goals you're going to have, how many people you're going to touch. And then you also want to indicate whether or not you're going to have any events and, what might your goal be. And then if you want, you feel free to tweak this. It doesn't necessarily have to follow this exact pattern, but, this is a way that you can think about it. And after that, you want to make sure that you build a timeline, and your timeline should have accountability. And when we talk about accountability, we're talking about making sure you have assignments and deadlines. All right. So I'm not going to go through every one of these items. These items are in a workbook, but obviously you want to make sure that you start off with leadership. So the first thing you want to do is determine who the team members are, set up a kickoff meeting date, you guys agree on a goal, and so forth and so forth. So you want to develop this timeline from the start to finish, and make sure you include things like, how you're gonna interact with the press, what your messaging is, and all that good stuff. So the next thing you want to do is organize your campaign team. And your campaign team, obviously, it's going to include board and staff, but your campaign team may include people who give, people who volunteer. It could be boosters, people who are shouting your message to the rooftops. And then community partners, including small businesses. Make sure that you also have people who understand PR and marketing. And sometimes local newspapers can get involved, particularly if they are a community newspaper. So you want to build a brand for your campaign. And at this point, you want to write down names and organize the visuals and taglines. And it's really, really important to make sure that whatever your campaign is consistent with the mission and vision of your organization. You don't want to have a Giving Tuesday campaign that flies into the face of who you are as an organization. And after that, you want to develop a campaign narrative. So again, that includes, developing your brand. So you want to have a brand name, a logo, a tagline, and that tagline is going to be something that brings everything together under a specific theme. So it could be a program, project, or type of giving. And then when you start thinking about your messaging or your narrative or your story, you want to think of an iconic or symbolic, a typical story of a client, a staff person who represents a certain department, a volunteer. And at this point, you want to get testimonials. You want to also have them give, some of their experiences. And in some cases, you might want to write up as a case study, but there's nothing that beats, something coming from the horse's mouth. And I don't mean any disrespect. It's always important to get firsthand testimonials. But even beyond the emotional testimonials, you want to make sure that you have data that support the fact that your organization is in fact making an impact. And then you want to, if you can, incorporate a matching challenge. So you want to challenge people who are giving to talk to their employers to see if they have a matching gift program at work. And if they do, then you might consider asking them to contribute. All right. You want to also make sure that you tie to the year-end appeal and make sure that your messages are consistent with the year-end appeal. And then you want to develop at least 3 different stories that are complementary to your overall messaging. And I got these pictures from the Giving Tuesday workbook, all right, the step-by-step workbook. And here is a really good example of visual assets that you might collect, right? Um, Pictures that are really, really interesting, pictures of people in action, pictures of people who are posing to underscore, a certain message. Um, Happy volunteers, happy workers is always really good visual assets. So the visual assets really tug at the heart. And sometimes your visual assets are not necessarily limited to pictures. They can be visualizations of data to show your impact or to show your progress towards goals. A good example of that would be a thermometer. Your goal may be 100,000. Your thermometer today may be at 50,000. And every day you may want to change the temperature of that thermometer to keep, that's a good way of keeping people engaged. It's a good way to build momentum and really let people see at a glance what progress you're making. All right. And then you want to make sure that your ask is inspiring. So you want to use the belief statement plus the you statement plus the opportunity statement. And you want to bring all of that together to make a compelling call to action. So, for example, a school that's raising funds to build a food pantry for students. The campaign will begin with the story of a student who was hungry. And then you'll give the belief statement. That we believe that no student should have to choose between food and learning. The you statement. You can help us stock the pantry so that no CCBC student has to make the choice or goes hungry. And then there's the opportunity statement. Are you with us? All right, so that's the formula you would use. And then after that, you want to identify your campaign ambassadors. And these are people who are really engaged in your mission. And, they've been enthusiastic spokespersons in the past. And then you also want to recruit, if possible, some new ambassadors. And you want to make sure that your ambassadors represent prototypes of the various segments that you're trying to reach. All right. So you also want to engage ambassadors by setting aside a day to reach out to them and then hosting an ambassador kickoff. And in the absence of money, you need to give them recognition early and often. Ways that you can recognize them. There's nothing like listening to your name, making sure you call their names out at some point during the event. Make sure you list their names on your social media and thanking them. List their names in your newsletters. List their names on your website. That is, unless they prefer to stay anonymous. So if you're going to use people's names, publicly and thank them, make sure you have their permission. All right. So then you also want to look at resource ambassadors with engaging, easy to share content on a consistent schedule, right? So people who can help you get the word out on a consistent schedule. So this worksheet is found on page 12 of the step-by-step Giving Tuesday workbook. So you want to look at basically all the people that you're trying to engage. It could be board and staff, it could be civic leaders, it could be donors, volunteers, celebrities, athletes, micro influencers, Or you might have your own category. So you want to diagram out the categories of types of people that you're trying to reach. And then after you figure that out, you have to make sure that you have accountability. Otherwise, things get left between the cracks, right? So once you indicate the people that you want to reach, ask the hard question: who will be responsible for creating the content and communicating with the ambassadors? And it doesn't necessarily have to be one person, because this can really, really be overwhelming. You might want to get a team of people and make sure you assign them to different groups. All right. Now put yourself in the donor's shoes. Before you send out any communications electronically, you want to get a feel or sample what their experience could be. So go through their experience. You want to start with the email, send an email to yourself, click on the website and see, what it is that you see, get a sense for your impression. And then when you make a donation, what was that experience like? So at every point in the experience, from start to finish, from reading your social media, from reading your emails, from reading your website, how would you categorize that, right? Is it a positive experience? Is it something that makes you really, really want to give to this cause? And then after that, this is something where you're really focusing on your weaknesses. You're not necessarily looking for your strengths, because remember, you're trying to fix what's wrong. So you want to make a list of everything that's wrong. So you want to go through your website, your marketing and donation materials, and you want to make sure that you're optimizing it for Giving Tuesday, right? So everything, even though this is very, very detail oriented, a lot of moving pieces, you have to make it seem simple. It has to be intuitive, so people don't have to spend a lot of time figuring things out. And then you want to make sure that it's welcoming, make them feel like they're a part of the team. All right, so here is a sample of how you might want to go about it. So on your website, you want to do a checklist of everything that is wrong. Everything that gives a bad impression, everything that makes it a little bit too difficult or confusing to donate, everything that is not easy to understand. You might want to look at your website and see if it has a lot of jargon that the average person can't really understand. And then also look at the technology, the experience of actually navigating the website from the point of entry to the point where you have checked out for your donation. And look at all the messages that you get. Make sure they're consistent. Make sure they're welcoming. Make sure that there's follow-up, right? And if you can automate that, that's good, kinda. But I also caution against putting so much automation in your process that it no longer feels like you're communicating with a human being. All right. And then you want to look at your online giving. Again, look at that process. Your online giving through your website, your online giving through, say, Facebook, your online giving through, a platform, that allows you to crowdsource. And then you also want to look at your marketing, outreach, and social channels. Again, how are you communicating to people? Are you alienating one audience in particular? Do you have ads that target specific segments that you can target segments? Maybe different age groups have similar messages, but the jargon may be a little bit different. And then next, you should consider gamifying your Giving Tuesday. So basically what that means is adding some competition to it. So you might want to get funders and or sponsors that will give matching gifts. And, that gives a little incentive, even more incentive for people who are giving, because they know that when they give, that they're not alone, that their gift could immediately double and sometimes triple. You might also want to sponsor contests or challenges and give awards to the top performers. And, that way you can raise even more money. So here is a sample matching gift worksheet. And again, this comes from Step by Step Giving Tuesday workbook. So for matching funds, you want to identify generous donors who can provide funds to spur generosity and progress towards campaign goals. Ask them to consider giving their year-end gift early to support challenges and spur participation. So at this point, you want to brainstorm a list of people. And ideally, you might want to do this yourself, but then ask several people. This could be people on your development staff. This could be board members, people who are part of your different affinity groups. You want to have the brain trust of more than one person as you're thinking about who might provide matching funds. And this is a similar worksheet, but it focuses on challenges, right? So, you might have heard the 30-day challenge, whatever. All right. So you might have a challenge that challenges people to, donate or raise, say, $500 between now and December 1st. That could be one challenge. But you can think of a whole bunch of different ideas. And again, you want to get as many people involved as possible to brainstorm those ideas and then come up with a plan, prioritize. And then after that, or not even after that, along with that, you need to make sure that you're developing your 6-week communication strategy. So not only are you planning activities to raise money, but you're also simultaneously making sure that there's constant communication to, social media and even the press to let them know, what's going on. All right. And there is an example of that on the Step by Step Giving Tuesday workbook, page 15. It's pretty detailed, so I didn't want to do that right about now. All right. So are there any questions? Are there any comments? And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to post. All right, so it looks like we don't have any questions or comments. I want to say thank you so much for joining us, and make sure that you join us next week. We're going to talk about how you can cultivate relationships with your donors. All righty. Thank you, Leslie. Leslie is one of our members. Valerie, as has been all of the previous technical assistance, you have provided through nonprofit Utopia. Your guidance for implementation of this event is very thorough, well organized, and comprehensible. Thank you. I appreciate that, Leslie. I want to say thank you so much for being so engaged and being a wonderful member. And again, if you are a member of Nonprofit Utopia, we do have office hours by appointment. I shared a link in the community, and we can, discuss any questions that you might have with this presentation, any fundraising that you might consider doing for Giving Tuesday, as well as other all right, as well as other fundraising. So again, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're going to have a video of this, or rather the video will be archived on YouTube. All right, so thank you very much. And if there are no questions, and it looks like there are no questions, I will talk to you guys next week. Take care. Bye-bye.